Hello everybody, welcome to this video. Of course, as you saw in the thumbnail title, we're going to be looking at some sort of spiritual lesson that you're really close to mastering. And so we're going to get some guidance from your angels and spirit guides about that to help you get that PhD, to help you graduate and finally master that spiritual lesson. We'll also be learning about some spiritual lessons that your guides feel like you've already mastered. And we're going to also hear what they have to say about that as well. So before we get into the readings, though, obviously your options are down below. And in a moment, I'll go over the names of each of the gemstones. But I do want to say, if there's anyone out there right now who's particularly struggling right now emotionally, if you feel like you could benefit from group support, from other people holding space for you in a group setting where we share who we are, share what we're going through in life, the good and the bad, then you're welcome to attend my Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern wisdom healing group. And that's exactly what we do in that group. So you don't have to do anything. There's no payment required. It's just you showing up. We're going to meet by Zoom. And we just started this last Tuesday, the Tuesday before I'm posting this particular video. So we've only met once so far. And if we get more people than one meeting can handle, then I'll open up other meetings throughout the week to make sure we have enough space for everyone. But yeah, the first meeting was really wonderful, and so we would love to have you there. Just sign up below so that I'll be able to send you the Zoom link for those Tuesday meetings so that you can show up. All right, so we have 6 reading options in front of us. Number 1, this beautiful blue stone here, is azurite. Number 2 is hiddenite. Number 3 is ruby. Number 4 is topaz. Number 5 is danburite. And number 6 is blue calcite. So take a moment to get in touch with your intuition in whatever way suits you best. And I'll see you at your reading. All right, welcome to everybody who chose reading number 1, which was the azurite. Just burning a little bit of Palo Santo for you. And let's see what it is. We're going to get the message right off, but then we're going to get a little bit more details. Or we'll get the spiritual lesson right off. So you're basically, it's like you're about to get a PhD in this particular lesson. And it says, I look for and find the good in everyone, even when their shadow is really, really showing. So that's wonderful. So let's just see more about it as well. Let yourself feel all of your emotions. You are not alone. We have air, and let's see, 6 of Wands, the Lovers, Ace of Wands, and Page of Swords. Yeah, so I feel like you're someone who understands the fact that, you know, we all kind of go through some things, and sometimes that brings up our shadow, or it can bring up a side of us that we may not necessarily be so proud of. But it feels to me like you really honor and respect other people. You respect who they are. You respect all of their emotions as well, you know. So if someone's going through a tough time and maybe it's causing them to kind of act out or react or be reactive in a way that's not totally productive, it's like you're very understanding of that. Maybe you have also been in those places before where you needed that support. You needed someone else to kind of breathe new life into you simply by seeing the good in you. And so it feels to me like, you know, you've realized that other people believing in you, other people looking for the good in you has helped you to really succeed in life. And you want to do the same thing for other people. So it sort of inspires you to always be looking for the best. And even when someone's showing their worst, you're like this Page of Swords here. You're like this little detective. You're like, well, why is this person acting this way? You know, there must be something else going on with them. They must be going through something, and I want to see what I can do to be supportive of them. Let's see what your stone says on the back too. It says, explore your hidden depths. This background music that I'm playing is very dramatic right now. But maybe that the dramatic music is, maybe that's how your guides and angels are feeling about, you know, how good you have become at really seeing the good in people. Because it's hard. When people are showing their shadow, it's hard to continue to see the good, isn't it? But you're willing to explore your own hidden depths. Like I said, I feel like you're probably not afraid to embrace your own shadow and to be okay with the fact that you do have a shadow. And because of that, you can kind of understand those hidden depths within other people as well. So that's really beautiful. So you're close to mastering it though. Right, is what we're saying. You're close to mastering it. So what do your guides have to say to you about finally graduating with this particular lesson? We've got Saturn return, 7th house. We have Virgo, I analyze, 7th house partners. Let's see, let's try to get all these cards out here so that you can see them real good. What more can you do? Let's see. Okay. So first of all, what I'm getting is that you might be someone who overanalyzes a little bit sometimes. And that might keep you in certain moments of being able to see the best in other people. But I think also it's more like your fear as well. Like I'm reminded of this quote by Mother Teresa. And I bring this quote up a lot in my readings actually, but I can never remember the exact phrasing. I need to just write it down. But it's a long quote, but part of it is, you know, be kind to other people. If you're kind to other people, sometimes people will be suspicious and they'll doubt your motives. And it's saying be kind anyway. And I just get this impression here because we have the Chariot. So you're making so much progress. This is the Chariot itself, all of the 7 cards, and this is the 7th card of the major arcana, are about learning those spiritual lessons. And it shows how far you've come and how much progress you've made, and how you really want to even get better at this. But sometimes your own fear holds you back, maybe from, you know, you see the good in other people, but I think what they're saying is you need to start expressing that as well, like telling people about the good that you see in them. You're hearing my cat make some noise in the background. But yeah, like, don't be afraid to let people know, hey, I see lots of wonderful qualities in you. That's part of the shift that they're saying. You know, don't overanalyze the situation. Don't allow yourself to be so overly burdened by it. Understand that the way that you would want someone to treat you is the same way that you want to treat them. So if you like it when people give you encouraging words, then do that for other people. But yeah, I mean, there is a sense of responsibility here with Saturn, because I'm sure, you know, through age, through your life, you've realized that sometimes when you give people encouraging words, they don't like it. Sometimes people don't like compliments, or it makes them defensive. So that might lead you to feel a little bit, you know, over like you want to overanalyze before, and, you know, get a little bit stuck in your head and feeling like you can't tell people about the good qualities you see in them, for fear that it will cause some sort of awkwardness. Your guides are encouraging you to try to move past that, I feel like. And these Intuit Oracle cards kind of give me a similar message here. Sometimes it can be really complicated and, like I said, sort of awkward to encourage someone, or to just, you know, give them a nice compliment on the good things you see in them. But they're saying not only is this going to be the catalyst for your own continued spiritual growth and your own mastery of this particular spiritual lesson, but you lifting this person up with your words, not just your thoughts, not just having kind thoughts, but also the words, demonstrating to them with your words that you see that good. That's a catalyst for them. It's a catalyst partly because it gives that person a sense of belonging. And yes, sometimes people can be defensive, and sometimes people are not open to that sense of belonging. But more often than not, they will be. And also we have this wine card, and it says developing over time. So sometimes it takes time to win someone over. Saturn also is a card of, having to be dedicated and responsible in terms of achieving a goal. So if someone seems like they're not really ready for someone to see the best in them, then you might have to give it a few tries with that person before they start to feel safe receiving that sort of recognition of their good, that recognition of their worth. So that's what you're about to master, and I feel like you're very close to mastering that spiritual lesson. But what about some lessons that you've already mastered? Let's see what your guides think that you've already become a master of. I have been given talents. I recognize my talents and make great use of them. Wonderful. So you're putting your talents to work. Let's see, let's put them like this. My impact is greater than I thought. Let me be mindful of that. So these kind of go together. You know that you can make a tremendous impact with those talents that you have, and so you're putting them to use. You also know that, just in general, like the way that you act affects things. So that makes you very mindful of yourself, of not being so reactive and defensive. Let's see what else we've got. I feel like you're very connected to Source. Yes, your guides feel like you're very connected to them. We have the Lover's card coming up twice here, which to me, I feel like is like, it's more like you coming face to face with your guides. They feel like you're very present with them. You're very open to receiving guidance and being connected to Source energy. And they just are so proud of you for that, because that's assisting you. That in and of itself is a spiritual lesson that you've mastered as well. Your ability to be so open and connected to Source. And because you're so open and connected to Source, you've mastered these lessons. And you're well on your way to mastering this lesson of always seeing the good in other people as well. So I hope that message was really helpful to you, folks who chose reading number 1. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. All right, welcome people who chose reading number 2, which was what stone was that? The Hiddenite. So just lighting some Palo Santo for you guys. So let's see, what is the spiritual lesson that you've nearly mastered? How to hold on during tough times. You have mastered or come close to mastering resilience, but we're going to get a little bit more of a thorough message, and we're also going to learn at the end of the reading what lessons you've already mastered according to your guides. So we have natural beauty and authenticity. We have apologize. We have concomancy. Let's see, high priestess, temperance. Ooh. All major arcana showing up here. The Emperor and Death. All right. So I feel like you have learned how to be resilient because, for one thing, I feel like you are always looking for guidance. So I feel like if you're going through tough times, concomancy especially showing up next to the High Priestess, because it's about seashell divination. So you probably don't, maybe you do seashell divination, but maybe you do utilize some sort of divination to connect with your psychic knowing, maybe to connect with your guides, that when you're going through tough times, you seek out that guidance. You seek out that guidance because you want to become wiser. You want to become also stronger. The Temperance card is about increasing your strength and durability. Just as when you temper metal, what do you have to do? The metal has to be held in a very hot fire, and then it's hit over and over and over with a hammer, and that creates a stronger metal in the process of tempering it. So you have this wisdom, and that's part of the reason why you've done so well with this particular spiritual lesson of being resilient, is because you know that ultimately this will just make you stronger, and you want to be strong. You're wanting and you're desiring to be powerful because you want to make an impact in the world. You want your presence in the world to matter. So natural beauty and authenticity here with fluoride, it says, be yourself as God made you naturally attractive and lovable inside and out. So I feel like when times get tough, you're someone who just, gets back with, gets in touch with your sense of self-worth as well. And you know that you have so much to offer. And I feel like you enjoy being in touch with your authentic self. And that's part of what keeps you resilient as well, is that authenticity. You're also someone who knows how to apologize. What a wonderful skill to have. That is often, unfortunately, lacking, because to apologize requires a person to be very vulnerable. And this is interesting to me because you come through as such a strong person. These cards down here, oh my gosh, you're a powerhouse. And for a powerhouse to be strong enough to apologize when they know that they've been wrong, it just makes you even more of a powerhouse. Let's see if there's any other insight with this card. It says, claim your happy place. When to use it: when you find yourself stuck in the past or too focused on the future, Hidden Night is down to make the most of every moment. If you're in a rut, call on Hidden Night to help you love your way out of it. So yeah, I feel like that's what you do. You love your way out of difficult circumstances, and you really just try to find the best in them. You look for that spiritual lesson in the hard times. You make the most of it completely. So what else do your guides, what would they tell you about, so you're close to mastering this, and we just want to know, is there any guidance they can give you about how you can fully graduate here? We have 9th house, faith, Gemini, I think, and Scorpio, I transform, which is coming up under the death card, which is associated with the sign of Scorpio as well. Let's just get all of the cards out, though, before we start interpreting. What guidance do they have for you? Let me see here. Gosh, so much intense energy with you guys. Let's see. I feel like a lot of you, because we had this card about beauty, like a lot of you may have struggled in your life because you were someone who was very physically attractive, but that in and of itself was sometimes a hardship because maybe people were mean to you. People may have seen your beauty here and been sort of abusive or angry at you for it. Maybe they lashed out at you because they were jealous. Or it could have been the opposite. Maybe people made fun of you because they didn't like the way that you look, and you had to dig in and find that sense of resilience, to overcome this, whatever it was. People have been abusive to you. They have bullied you, I feel like. So that's one of the things your guides are bringing up here, and they're saying, that part of how you can be resilient, continue to learn this sense of resilience, is just looking back at childhood and what you dealt with in terms of bullying in your childhood, because you got through that and you were so much more vulnerable then. So they're kind of saying, listen, if you were able to be resilient as a child when people bullied you, then you can definitely be resilient now. So they just kind of want you to see how far you've come. See the strength that you've had if you don't currently. Yeah, again, you have so much power here with the elephant, but it's like, it can also be a very gentle sort of power, a power that you wield in a gentle way. So that might be a key to your resilience as well. Your guides say that the faith that you have is very helpful, and they're feeling like you have faith, but you're not sacrificing your own intellect or your own logical way of knowing and giving it all up to faith. You have the faith, but you also have the wisdom, and they want you to continue to draw upon both of those to continue to transform and recognize how much power you have. That's the source of your power. Let's see here. I do feel like there might be a sense that sometimes you guys have a bit of a temper. And I'm thinking this because of this apologize that came up before and then the Tower card. I feel like maybe they're asking you to maybe work on looking at different options to respond to difficult times, because sometimes you try to get through difficult times in a way that is angry. Like if, again, like maybe you go through a lot even now with people bullying you or putting you down, and you might sometimes be triggered towards anger. They're just saying, you know, they want you to kind of take time to think a little bit before you react when you're in those kinds of difficult times. When it's a difficult time that brings up this anger, they just want you to kind of practice and work with this idea of just, you know, not reacting right away. Let's take some time to think about it. Let's remove ourselves from the situation for a little while so we can really think it through, so we can get calm within ourselves and look at what are all of the options that I do have. You know, I have a lot of options here about how I could proceed here. The Tower card is not my only option. I mean, the Tower card, the exploding with anger, you know, reacting, being reactive like that. It's not the only option. And they're also saying, you know, like apologizing is difficult and you're good at that. And we're very proud of you for being good at apologizing and acknowledging when you have maybe been reactive, especially with anger. But they're saying the way to transform that further is just not allowing yourself to get angry in the first place. And they're just saying it's a process. So if anger has been kind of a long-term chronic issue, which by the way I can relate with, I can relate to that myself. They're saying, you know, it's just a process, and you're so close to completing this or mastering this particular spiritual lesson of resilience. The only thing that you have left is to just pause and reflect before you react to difficult situations that trigger anger in you. So that, like I said, you don't have to go back and apologize, because there won't be anything to apologize for. You will have found a better option to begin with. And that's your that's your source of resilience, is this gentle sort of strength, because you have so much strength. And I feel like when you do choose anger, or when you allow anger to be your reactive emotion, because you are such a powerful person, you really, that anger really, it strikes people down, you know, and maybe in the moment that's what you want to do, but I'm getting the sense that afterward you might feel a little bit guilty about it. And guilt is not necessarily a very productive emotion, but, you know, just having an awareness of how you feel allows you to also think about that there are different ways of approaching it in the future. So this is what your guides are encouraging you to do. Now let's see what they think in terms of lessons you have already mastered. Aha! There is a certain wisdom that can only be found in plunging the depths of the soul, including the shadow. So you know you have this shadow element. So if you're watching and you have issues with anger, you're totally okay with it. Or not totally okay with it, but you totally know about it. You know about the anger issues. And you've come to understand that being aware of that aspect of the shadow self actually leads to so much wisdom. And it also says, I am unattached. I let go. Nothing drains me, and I drain nothing. Life unfolds beautifully from this. So you've learned how to be unattached and just to allow life to develop as it is. Yeah, you have a lot of trust. You have a lot of faith here that even in hard times, because the Five of Wands is about conflict, it's about difficulty and stress. It can even be about angry disputes with people. You do have faith. There is a strong faith in you that even when those moments come, that you can get through it, and that the divine is still holding you and supporting you. Yeah, a further message of that. When there's conflict, you understand that you're still safe. Let's see. Yeah, and then past lives and the master. I mean, obviously, these are lessons that you have mastered over multiple lifetimes, these particular ones. Willing to really plunge the depth of the soul, including the shadow. And for a lot of people, that's very difficult. But I do sense here with the Scorpio card and the Death card before, that part of your powerful intensity comes from the fact that you're not afraid of your own shadow. You've made friends with it. You've recognized this is just, it's a part of who you are. It's an aspect of who you are. It doesn't define you any more than any other aspect of who you are defines you. But it is a true part of who you are, and it's worth getting to know so that you can understand how to cope with those shadow elements. So that's what I'm getting here. I hope that that message has been helpful to you guys. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. All right. Welcome to people who chose group number 3, which was the set of rubies. So let's see what spiritual lesson that you're close to mastering, and let's see what your guides have to say about it. And then we'll see what some of the lessons are that you actually have mastered as well. So serendipity, trusting each new step and delighting in the surprising fun ways that each new step is given. So basically learning how to go with the flow, but also there's this sense of optimism with serendipity that you're kind of just trusting that things will work out in sort of beautiful ways. Let's see, azurite, deep emotional healing. We have look through the situation, visions. The Queen of Swords, the Star. Okay. I feel like you approach everything with a very strong intellect, but this is kind of similar actually to something that I picked up in number 2, but you have a strong psychic ability, but you also have a very strong intellect. And I think you utilize both to kind of see the best in any situation. So even when times are tough and things are painful, you're still trusting that there's some sort of solid, healthy, stable way to continue forward. You're always trusting that there is a new way forward. So you're very good at looking through the situation. With deep emotional healing, it says your heart is ready to heal from past experiences, and you are willing to devote time and energy toward therapeutic care. So part of how you've gotten so good at trusting that each new step will show up for you when you need it is because you've done this deep emotional healing. So maybe you've gone to therapy, or you've done Reiki, or whatever it is you've done to sort of support yourself and heal yourself, mind, body, and soul. So what do your guides say you should do to, continue in this mastery? What do you need to do? We have fire element, desire. Some of my cards are missing from that stack. Hold on just a moment. All right. Apologies there, guys. I was supposed to have 3 of these astrology cards, and I don't know how I ended up just drawing 1 for yours, so I drew you a couple more. Let's get all of the cards out here. So learning to go with the flow. Okay, what do you need to do to get more fully master this spiritual lesson of serendipity? Trusting that serendipity will take place, basically, is what the lesson was. Okay, one of the first things I'm getting here, and this is interesting, but we have third party situation here, and we also had the Three of Swords, which often indicates third party situations. So you might have to apply this to an area of your life where you're having to trust the outcome regarding some sort of third person situation. Or it may be something that you've experienced in the past. If we have third party situation, and then with Beaver, things work against you, but persistence pays off. I feel like you are someone who, your guides are aware that you hit rock bottom sometimes, or you have, like emotionally, there are times when you've hit rock bottom. And it seems like you always bounce back, though. Like you're sort of trusting some sort of sense of destiny. You are trusting, and, for you guys, I'm getting something about your romantic life and partnership and all that. There's something about you where you're trusting that these childhood dreams, these childhood desires you had for this beautiful, happy home life with your partner, perhaps with children, you have some sort of trust that that's going to be fulfilled. They want you to get more in touch, I think, with that childhood sense of innocence and trust. When you were a child, you didn't doubt that it was possible, but it could be that you've gone through a lot of situations where you've experienced heartache in your romantic life, whether that has to do with third-party situations or not, although there is a particular message of that for a lot of you, but and that your guides are saying, because you've gone through those difficult experiences, you've lost touch a little bit with that sense of childhood trust. When you were a childhood, you just knew that you would end up in a happy relationship, a happy marriage, that you would grow old with someone and it would just be perfect and beautiful. You believed in true love, basically, and you felt that it was your destiny to find true love. So they're saying, although you have been through some very difficult times, and those difficult times when you're so in pain, they want you to try to get back in touch with that sense of childhood innocence. So that's what I'm getting. Let me see if I'm getting anything else here. Yeah, they're also just reminding you that some of how things, a lot of how your life is going to unfold, a lot of the destiny of how this will unfold, that you have this true love, growing old together experience. Part of it is still a mystery to you. You're not allowed to see it all beforehand, because you have to be in the moment like the Fool. You have to not know everything. That's how you experience this life. If you already knew everything before it was going to happen, if you already knew exactly what would happen, then what would be the point of living out your life? You're here to have that experience. If you knew all of the secrets beforehand, that would take away the experience. It would be like taking away the gift of this life experience from you. Your guides want you to trust that the steps for you to reach true love will be given one at a time. Just keep going forward with faith, that childhood faith that you had, that you do deserve true love and that it will be fulfilled for you. And, each new step isn't a mystery. The next step will be given, but you may not be able to see all of the steps beyond that. But they want you to enjoy this process of just trusting each new step. All right. And trusting that you'll have this beautiful true love romance. So what are the lessons that your guides feel that you have already mastered? It says, I give through the joy of giving, not from the expectation of it or from the expectation of getting something in return. So basically you've mastered the lesson of, how to move beyond codependence. You're giving because it feels good, not because you think other people expect you to give of yourself. And when I say giving, that's what I mean, giving of yourself. That could be resources. It could be time. It could be love, whatever it is, you know. But you don't do it to get something in return. You don't do it because you feel like someone has an expectation of you to do it. You just do it simply because it brings you enjoyment. And if it doesn't bring you enjoyment, you don't give it. We also have self-nurturing. I treat myself kindly and gently. I am tender, never harsh with myself. And this, I think, is an important spiritual lesson for you because you have gone through a lot of heartbreak. And I feel like when things are tough like this, you know, you might not tell everybody else how difficult it is, but you show up for yourself and you're kind to yourself, you nurture yourself, and you comfort yourself so that everything is fine again. Let's see what else. Change, experiencing. Wow, 3 of Swords coming up again. It's called Isolation in this deck, which is the Osho Zen Tarot deck. And then Flowering. So again, we have the Wheel of Fortune. It says change here. And we had Destiny here as well. The Wheel of Fortune is a card of destiny and fate as it unfolds, as life naturally moves forward in its cycles. Your guides are saying that you know, this joy of giving, you've learned somehow, there's a part of you that understands that giving simply because of the joy of giving creates more abundance in your life. And also giving to yourself, giving that self-nurturing to yourself, because gosh, you've been through the ringer, I feel like. You've gone through a lot of very difficult emotional experiences, a lot of tears for you guys, a lot of heartache, but you remain this person who is abundant and prosperous and a very healthy person overall in mind, body, and spirit, because you recognize, you honor those moments. You don't, you know, you don't talk down to yourself simply for having difficult emotions. You know, you're like, well, I'm human. It's normal for me to feel upset, and I'm going to allow myself to feel that way until I can figure out how not to feel that way. I'm going to seek out methods of nurturing and caring for myself that bring me out of this, but I'm not going to feel bad about the fact that I'm having difficult emotions. So yeah, I just feel like there's such a sense of you having this strength of just taking care of yourself. And maybe partly it's because you've had to. That may have been a hardship for you as well. Maybe you had that responsibility from a young age to kind of take care of yourself. But your guides want you to understand that you don't have to just rely on yourself either. You have mastered how to self-nurture. But it's also, I think they also want you to work, you know, beyond this and learn as well the lesson of understanding a healthy interdependence or healthy reliance on other people as well, and learning that you can have that sort of support also. You don't have to pretend to everyone else that you're fine. You can be honest with them also. You know, if you want to really honor those difficult emotions you're going through, you know, you're not hiding them from yourself, but also don't hide them from other people. Let people know that you are going through stuff. Be willing to lean on other people, I think, is another lesson that your guides would like you to focus on. All right. So I really hope that this reading was helpful to you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. All right. Welcome everyone who chose reading number 4, which was the Topaz. Let's see what spiritual lesson you're very close to mastering. We have embrace joy by keeping your heart open and active. So that's beautiful. Let's learn more about it. Balancing masculine and feminine energies. We have think about it. Always a very puzzling card to pull. We have soul cage, Ace of Swords, Knight of Swords, Judgment and the Eight of Wands. Let's see here. So this card is about balancing masculine and feminine energies. Allow your feminine side to creatively inspire you and your masculine side to give you confidence. With this soul cage, I feel like it's almost like your feminine side is assisting your masculine side not to have your heart caged up, because our masculine side tends to be more closed off emotionally and closed off in the heart space, and our feminine side is generally better able at being in touch with the heart and having the heart be open. And so part of why you've done so well in this process so far is that you're kind of holding space for your masculine side. Your feminine side is leading your masculine side, and so you're creating this balance. You might have to address your masculine side sort of in a more intellectual way with the Ace of Swords and the Knight of Swords. So you might be someone, this, whether you're male or female, we all have a masculine and feminine side, right? But it could be that sometimes, that masculine side of you wants to close your heart down and cage it up and not feel your emotions, not be in touch with your emotions. And so your feminine side is like, okay, well, maybe the best way for me to be in touch with my emotions is exploring them in a more intellectual way. So your guides are saying that's very good. It's very resourceful of you. You're drawing upon this natural tendency or this inclination that you have to be very intellectual about things, but you're utilizing the intellect to help you understand your feelings more. So you might be someone who researches psychological or spiritual topics, or you research just, knowledge about dealing with your emotions, healing, I'm thinking that some of you might talk to a therapist as well, and just talking about your emotions, getting it out of you verbally is something that keeps your heart open. So it's sort of like you're someone who's very willing to learn about your heart, but you might learn about it best through more of an intellectual exploration of the heart than simply sitting and feeling your emotions. So you might not be as much of an emotional person, but you can still access that emotional space and keep that heart chakra open and active through thinking about it. Oh, I said this is such a puzzling card when it comes up, but now it makes total sense. You think about your emotions as a means of understanding them and keeping that heart wide open. Well, your guides are so just wanting to congratulate you actually on how it's like I see them applauding almost. And they want you to applaud yourself because you've really bumped it up in terms of this spiritual lesson. You have been so balanced. You have been, such a go-getter in terms of learning about your own heart. And yeah, your guides are so proud. They feel like you've made so much progress. So what would be that, little extra thing that you would need to focus on now in order to completely master this spiritual lesson of keeping your heart open? Okay, so certainly your guides, first of all, they would like you to develop some sort of routine practice of checking in with yourself emotionally, checking in. Again, you use it through thinking about it, but really look at your emotions, look at your heart space, really see. They want you to continue to do this, but maybe create more of a routine, because there are some moments when maybe you put your emotions on the back burner so that you can focus on other goals that you have in life. So you might be someone who sort of dismisses your emotions in certain moments because you feel like maybe other things are more important. Your guides and angels are saying you need to be in this regular space of attending to your emotional self, because otherwise it's just going to get to this point where when you finally do address your emotions, they might be, it's like when you leave the dishes for a week and then when you finally get around to doing them, you're like, oh God, this is going to take forever. When if you had been doing the dishes up every day, it might just take a few minutes. So it's that kind of thing. So just develop a sort of routine of checking in with yourself emotionally. Let's see what else we've got here as well. Yeah, because your guides are saying sometimes you try to convince yourself that you're happy when you're not. That's a thing that you do also. That's what I'm picking up on. If it doesn't resonate with you, just let it go. But sometimes you try to convince yourself that you're happy, but really you're not. And so that's why it's so important to develop this as a routine of just taking a few moments every day, setting aside maybe a time to journal or to sit in quiet contemplation, whatever it is that works for you, to really check in and say, how am I really feeling? Okay? What do I need to nurture right now within myself emotionally so that I can continue to move forward and create greater healing for myself so that I won't kind of get stuck in some sort of rut or find myself in a place where my emotions are so overwhelming that I don't know how to deal with them. Okay, let's see what else we see here. I also get a sense here with the tower. It says stand alone. I feel like you're probably a very independent person, someone who, maybe tends to kind of be on their own a lot. I feel like your guides want you to think about that a little bit more and consider the options. Is this really what brings me the best enjoyment, to be so isolated from other people? There may be moments when it is, maybe a lot of moments, especially if you're a very strong introvert. You enjoy being independent, but I feel like they want you to think about the fact that, what if something very sudden happened, something very unexpected, and you weren't prepared for it because you didn't have the social support that you needed, the emotional support from other people that you needed. I feel like your guides are saying you might want to think about, how can you look for opportunities to make sure that you're not so alone, so that when the shit hits the fan, so to speak, there are people in your life that you can rely on emotionally. Because I do sense a very strong self-reliance, which is a strength. It's a strength, but also, like I said, when the going gets really tough, your guides are feeling like you might realize that you wish you had cultivated greater social support for yourself as well. So let's look at some spiritual lessons that your guides feel like you've already mastered. Let's see what those are. It says, nothing external can truly fill my cup. I fill my cup from the inside first. So yes, you're not thinking that money or material possessions or fame or, having a particular romantic partner or any of these outside markers of worth, you've realized that's not what truly fulfills you anyway. And we all know this. We know it. But knowing it on a certain level and really feeling it are two different things, right? And your guides feel like you really have understood this. Also, I learned to accept love and to know that I am worthy of it. So actually, you have learned to accept love from other people, but maybe you still tend to spend a lot more time alone and be self-reliant. So I feel like since you've learned to accept love, you might want to accept or find ways of, just allowing other people to be more present in your life a little bit, integrating with other people. Let's see here. I feel that you guys might have a difficult time trusting other people. Maybe you've had a lot of experiences in your life where you were made to feel guilty. And so because of that, it's hard to trust because you've sort of been manipulated or gaslighted or something like that, made to feel guilty for things that you shouldn't have been made to feel guilty of. But you're going to have more satisfying connections with other people if you can move past that and find ways to trust and open up to other people more. I feel like your life is really going to blossom more. And for you guys, it's going to help you to feel more connected again to that, to more of your feminine aspect. Because you're very in your head. You're very in your head. And I think your guides want you to try to be more connected to your heart. Yeah, so that's what I'm getting for you guys. So I hope that that was helpful to you. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody who chose reading number 5, which was the Danburite. Let's see what spiritual lesson you're about to master. It says, the first step is always the hardest. Knowing this, I've taken many. I try new things and make the most of this life I'm given. So you have learned to not be afraid to try new things. So we have stress reduction, we have explore, the crane bag. Let's see, we have 3 of Wands, Page of Wands, Knight of Cups, and the Devil. So let's look into it a little bit more fully here. Yeah, so I feel like you have learned that it actually, sometimes people can get really nervous doing new things, just taking that first step to try something new, but you have learned to move past that stress, and maybe you've also learned that when you do explore new experiences, that in and of itself actually lowers your stress level. So you found that there's so many benefits here of exploring new things. It's interesting because the 3 of Wands and the Page of Wands are also about exploration. So it just says, part of the reason you have done so well with this particular lesson is that you naturally have a very adventurous personality. And so you're just wanting to explore as much as possible in life. And your guides are very happy about that. Let's see. With the crane bag, it says sacred ocean medicine, clutter, declutter, and choice. So it feels like, you do feel like you have a lot of options available to you, though. Like there are a lot of new experiences that show up to you as opportunities that you could take. So sometimes it might be more of a struggle for you not to take a new step and do something new, but the struggle might be more about, I only have so much time, so I'm going to have to choose which of these fun new things I'm going to try and which of these fun new things I'm going to have to, choose to set aside for now. I'm not totally sure what the message is here with the Knight of Cups and the Devil, so let me just pull a couple more cards to try to understand. I think they're trying to say that the only thing that gets in your way a little bit in terms of always being willing to explore new things is maybe when it comes to your romantic life, you might be someone who gets stuck on past romantic partners. Like maybe it's difficult for you to find closure with exes or love interest. It's hard for you to move on when you've become sort of emotionally attached to someone. And maybe that's not just in your romantic life. The Knight of Cups a lot of times is about romance, but any kind of emotional connection you have with someone, it can be hard to let that person go. So I feel like, and we'll learn more about this in a moment, what they suggest for you to continue to master this lesson. But the first thing that I'm getting is they want you to try this new experience of letting go of baggage from the past as well, because sometimes this lack of closure actually really drains your energy and probably causes more stress. So I feel like they want you to kind of make the choice to declutter and let go to some attachments to certain people from the past. You know, if it's just never ever working out, they want you to just let go of it. If it's meant to come back to you, this woman has sent her ships out, right? And she's trusting if they're going to come back, they'll come back. We don't have to just wait here forever, although that's what she's doing. I feel like your guides are telling you, you know, you can leave here, like the Page of Wands. You can go off and explore other things. If this person comes back and wants to give you a different experience than what they gave you in the past, cool. Then you can explore that again and try it out newly. But if that's not happening, you know, like cut your losses and move on so that you're not continuing to drain your energy and waste your energy on this person from your past. So what other guidance do your guides have about continuing to master this lesson of being willing to explore new things? So we have the 10th house, the solar eclipse, and abundance. We have the fish, which is also about wealth. So something here about wealth. Let's get all the cards out here to try to figure out what they're saying. So I think that you've probably applied this lesson of being willing to try new things. You've probably applied it towards maybe the career aspect of your life. Like you've been especially willing to try new things, go down new paths as it relates to career and finances. We also have 44 and 44 and the number 4444. The meaning of that, or one of the meanings of it, is to keep up the hard work because you will succeed. So it isn't just about starting something new, but of course it's also about continuing to be dedicated to what you've started. And that also requires a choice because you can't do everything. So you have to take careful aim. You know, what does your heart feel most connected with? Because we already saw that you're someone who draws a lot of opportunities to you, but you only have a limited number of resources, including the resource of time and the resource of energy. So in order to keep yourself from breaking down, you just have to be wise about, you know, which opportunities that you've started really deserve that dedication. So it's about kind of just being wise, being logical, but also being in touch with your heart in terms of choosing where you really want to focus most. Because wherever you put that focus and dedication, where you've already made those first steps, you're going to be drawing in so much abundance. We have the Empress card here and also Jupiter. Those are both very abundant energies. But I feel like life hasn't always been super abundant for you, especially financially. The Knight of Pentacles is someone who has to work really hard before they finally see that abundance come in. The Four of Pentacles as well is someone who feels like, maybe they have to like clutch onto what they have because there might not be new abundance coming in. Your guides are saying you clearly know better than that. You know that there's more abundance and that you don't have to just hold on to what you have. You can make choices. So if a particular new experience, new pathway that you took some first steps with, if that really isn't panning out for you anymore, let it go. And you're safe to do that because you need to be able to dedicate your time, energy, and resources to those things that are really fulfilling you. The financial abundance will come with it, automatically. So that's what I'm getting for their guidance. Now, finally, we want to ask, which spiritual lessons do your guides feel you have already mastered? So let's see. We have the highest good for all is the highest good for me. And of course, the flip side of it is my highest good is the highest good of all. So yeah, trying to always be in touch with the highest good, because knowing that you pursuing your own highest good is actually going to be best for everyone, and vice versa. That's a lesson that you have mastered. Also, I deserve good health. Providing myself with good health is a blessing, not a burden. What a great spiritual lesson, because a lot of times the things that we need to do in order to provide ourselves with good health, we do think of those as a burden. Eating nutritiously, exercising, taking care of our emotions, things like that. It's like, why does it feel like a burden? But sometimes it does. So what else do they have to say about that? Okay. So the first thing I'm getting with the Four of Pentacles and the Nine of Pentacles showing up here under the I deserve good health, this may have been a lesson that was difficult for you to learn. There may have been, at some level, some sort of self-destructive part of you that didn't want to give yourself the blessing of good health. Either you didn't feel like you deserved it, or you just didn't want to put the time and energy into doing those, things that we know supports good health. But yeah, it's interesting because we have, this is the same as the Four of Pentacles here. We have it showing up twice. And it's so interesting because we're talking about that you are willing to take those first steps and take those risks. But, and overall, that's a lesson that you're developing with very well. But it's still a struggle for you, because this is a card of not being willing to take risks. This is a card of, I want stability more than I want to, well, it's just saying I want stability more than anything else. We have to be willing to take risks in order to experience some sort of gain, right? But there's a part of you that has a difficult time with that. I feel like your guides are saying, remind yourself of, you're willing to take risks in order to support your good health, because you've mastered that lesson. And they want you to look and see, how much prosperity really that created in your life. You were willing to do something new in regards to your health, mind, body, spirit, your overall health, whatever that might be. And it led to so much happiness and prosperity. So when you look at how that has worked in certain areas of your life, you can kind of trust that even in other areas, like with your love life, where maybe you're clutching onto stability by staying attached to someone from the past, your guides are just reminding you, like, listen, maybe at first you didn't want to do those kind things to support your health, but you saw the blessings that brought, and we just want to remind you that that same level of blessing will come to you if you're willing to take risks now in your love life by letting go of the past and letting go of people from the past. We also have morality and intensity showing up here under this lesson about learning how your highest good is connected to the highest good of all. And I think here it's just saying, this is not a lesson that's about morality. It's not about being a quote unquote good person. It's just saying that what brings the most liveliness, the most vitality, what brings the most good feeling to you brings the most good feeling to other people. So I feel like you're someone who has connected those dots. But that doing your best in life doesn't mean, having to kind of punish yourself or limit your own happiness. It's about embracing your happiness. That's how you're in touch with the highest good, is by embracing happiness. All right, so I hope that this message has been helpful in some way. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye, guys. All right, for everybody who chose number 6, the blue calcite, it says, act on your dreams. Let's see what spiritual lesson you have almost mastered. It says, I have learned to trust my intuition. No longer will self-doubt hold me back from honoring my intuitive gift. So wonderful. You know, a lot of times we're like, am I really intuitive? Is that really an ability that I have? But you have learned to trust. You're like, yes, my intuition is more or less spot on, and I've learned to trust it. Now, you're still developing this. You've almost mastered it, but you've gotten really good at trusting that. So we have bless your heart. We have send love. We're going to learn more about your journey with this particular lesson here. Let's see here. All right. I kind of feel like one of the places where you've really learned to trust your intuition is when it comes to the fact that you are loved and lovable, and that you have a lot to offer. You know, because I feel like you've had to overcome self-doubt, not just in terms of your intuition, but maybe in other areas of your life as well. Just learning to honor yourself in so many different ways, not just with your intuition. That's what's coming up a lot here. And I feel like you've gone through cycles where maybe it's easier for you to have that, you know, sense of respect for yourself, to know that you're worthy of love, to know that you're blessed and that you're worthy of blessings. You're worthy of emotional and spiritual support. But then you go through times when the self-doubt does sort of reemerge, and then you get over it and you come back to love, and then you get into a situation again that challenges your idea that you're worthy of love. But your guides are saying because you have it, every time you come back to love, when you start to have that self-doubt, every time you come back to love, it strengthens you, and it actually strengthens in some way your intuitive connection as well. Because you're more connected to the divine, the more that you're connected to love, and the more that you're allowing that in. Let's see what your guides have to say about how you can further develop this trust in your intuition. We have Sun, 11th house, and Capricorn. I definitely feel like your guides think you would benefit from maybe working on developing your intuition in a group of like-minded people. So if you can find a group of people or just connect to like-minded souls in some way who also believe in intuitive ability, they do feel like that would really help you connect more to it and have this stronger faith. And also just using and practicing your intuition. Oh, which you could also, they might also be saying, you know, practice your intuition with your friends also. Maybe like practicing doing readings and things like that. Let's see what else we've got here. So they're also saying you may have experienced times when, you know, you come through as someone who is very wise. You have a lot of wisdom, and you've experienced times when you've tried to share that wisdom, and that's, you know, your wisdom itself comes in a sense from your intuition as well. It's about you being connected to your intuition, which allows you to access that wisdom. But you've tried to share that wisdom sometimes with other people, and you've been met with a little bit of defensiveness. So I feel like you're being sort of asked to have faith, you know, to not allow situations like that. You know, like, for example, if you practice doing tarot readings or some other sort of intuitive reading for someone and their feedback is not very favorable, I feel like the message is don't allow that to injure your pride here with the lion. Don't allow that to injure your self-esteem, because again, that's going to keep you, it's going to make you move 2 steps back when really you want to be moving 2 steps forward. And There's also a message here about having faith that you can find ways to reveal certain truths that people might not be open to as well. You have to sort of find a way to deliver that so that the information is still heard and understood, but maybe it doesn't come across as so negative or hurtful. So it's like learning how to represent that intuitive truth that's coming through to you when you're using your intuition and practicing that, so that you can rise above any kind of defensiveness. Because I will just say I've certainly experienced this as a tarot reader. Sometimes people are a little bit defensive when certain information comes through. So that doesn't mean that you should not be honest. You definitely should still be honest when you're presenting this wisdom. But your guides are saying that you're also developing just, I guess, tact. Basically developing how to present this information tactfully, which is going to be a more strategic approach. Yeah, and I think the final thing here is that your guides really want you to understand that you do have this wisdom, which makes you, in a certain sort of way, an authority. That doesn't mean that you know everything, but your intuition does allow you to have access to some real authoritative information, some really useful information. And so anyway, let's move to the next part of the reading, where we're going to ask your guides, what are some of the spiritual lessons that you have already mastered? So we have, I allow the mystery to be the mystery. All does not need to be known. Well, that is wonderful, especially for someone who's also working on developing their intuition, because a lot of times we can get so caught up in wanting to know, and using divination to seek those answers. But sometimes we just need to allow things to be unknown and to enjoy that. Enjoy the fact that there's a sort of mystery and that we can't know everything. So your guides feel like you are more or less at peace with the mystery, at peace with the fact that not everything is known. So they're very proud of you for that. We also have how to take flight by jumping into the unknown. Wow. Well, those really work together, don't they? All right. And we have healing. We have the death card, which is transformation in this deck. The 10 of Wands, and the World card. So the first thing that I'm getting is that this lesson of allowing things to be unknown and being okay with that, you mastering that lesson has brought so much tremendous healing into your life. So your guides are wanting to congratulate you, not just on learning this lesson, but they want to congratulate you and encourage you and say how proud they are of you, of the tremendous amount of transformative healing that you've been able to give yourself as well, simply by being okay with the fact that not all is known. And it is a difficult lesson to learn, and it probably has been a difficult lesson to learn. But you have been able to see beyond some sort of illusion that safety can only be yours if you know exactly what's going to be coming up next. You can see that that's an illusion of safety. It's not real safety. And what you are wanting to do is to take flight, right? So it's not even that you're okay with the unknown. You know how to utilize the unknown as an actual resource so that you can continue to move beyond illusion and beyond any sort of limiting belief that is itself also an illusion, because we aren't anywhere near as limited as what we think that we are. So your guides and angels are so proud of you for mastering these lessons and for all that you do. All right, so guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you got something helpful out of this reading, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.